Okay, so while writing the next Jetpack Retro episode, I was, among being busy with other things, also playing through Far Cry 3 again to get the next part of the retrospective done. And here we are. So now I think it's about time for us to do a big deep dive on all of the meanings and story and stuff that's really behind all of Far Cry 3 and what makes it so special. So, without further ado, let's dive into it. We are going to cover and go deep into all the meaning behind Far Cry 3 and why, at least in my opinion, it's a classic when it comes to gaming.
You know, I never thought I'd be able to kill someone. The first time it felt wrong. Which is good, right? But now, it feels like winning.
After Far Cry 2 was finished and they were finally done wrapping it up, the lead director of Far Cry 2 had an idea. He decided, well, the whole goal of Far Cry 2 was to make the most realistic game I could, with realistic mechanics, physics, things you can do, and he thought, you know what? I think that's fine. I can't do any more than that. So since Far Cry 2, in his opinion, was already the best he could do when it comes to realism and, things you can do in a game, he decided for the third game, how about we focus solely on story this time? If the other game was a masterclass of game design, why can't this one be a masterclass of a deep story that he's been thinking about for a while? So he had the idea to grab a story of something he was always curious about. What if you grabbed somebody who has no experience fighting at all? They have never touched a gun, they have never fought anybody, they have always been sheltered, and has never had to deal with survival or outright having to shoot someone in cold blood. Would that change the person? Would being forced to kill in order to save those that you love change you to become something you never thought you could be? Is violence the one thing that can make a person turn darker than they can ever think was possible? And thus began all production on Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 is really a story about you playing as a rich kid whose brother returned from war with his girlfriend who's going on a big trip. Due to not wanting to be mature for a change or even listen to what his girlfriend is trying to tell him, he just immediately dived off his plane for skydiving, not even at their destination yet, causing them to crash into a dangerous island ran by all sorts of evil groups and businessmen. This place is made literally just to funnel goods and kidnap people for whatever they have. So this leads to the creator having to, after losing people and running for his life, having to now learn, after being saved, to shoot a gun, kill, and try to save everyone due to a mistake he caused. Far Cry 3 is a really deep analysis on the human psyche and the things that we can go through when put in the right situation. As the game goes on, your character will actually start to love it. There's even one part in the game when you're saving the girlfriend and you actually yell at her to stop swerving the car and stuff just so you can kill more people with the gun in the car when she calls you crazy. As the game goes on, your character starts to become extremely violent. He starts to love the violent tendencies. He starts to love the blood that's being spilled everywhere. He starts to actually become obsessed with wanting to be this big grand warrior. And then, when the tribe who lives there starts encouraging it and wanting you to be the warrior they need, you even start to believe into it. In other words, drinking their Kool-Aid and trying to become this ultimate warrior that you're destined to be. Not even thinking for yourself or what you really need. Your character mostly is a blank slate. He mostly just goes by as he never really knew what he wanted to do with his life. He even admits this later with the whole apologizing for the skydiving incident, saying he's kind of reckless and didn't know what he wanted to do. As the game goes on, you start to witness all sorts of horrors that happen. You start to witness one friend and one just messed up Australian guy who had him tied up for his own needs that you save, who is in shock. The girlfriend is in shock from having to be tied up and witnessing people being killed, as you slowly just start to disregard them. One thing that's interesting, as the game goes on, everyone changes throughout the game. You become violent, Your other friend becomes a really submissive, scared person from what happened. The girlfriend starts to become more attached and worried and just wanting everything to be over. Everybody starts to lose who they were, if they didn't already lose their lives.
But the definition of insanity is insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
As the game goes on and you defeat the first person in the game, you start to realize how deep all this stuff goes. The main villain you were fighting the whole time, Voss, he ends up being a twist where it turns out he actually was genuinely just trying to save you. He wanted to pull you away from the one in the tribe who's trying to turn you to something you're not, as he was supposed to long ago, explaining to you the messed up things she would put him through and even the stuff she would try to do to him in private, saying that this is the real monster. But in the end of the day, they're all monsters after that. The tribe is really psychopathically set in their ways. Voss and the others are just really killing people for whatever money they can get out of them, and you end up coming across this crossroads where no matter what you do, it's the same story. The violence, the things that happen, always happen all over the world everywhere. This stuff is, like Voss says himself, it's a constant cycle. It's over and over and over. Everything you go through in the game and what these people do throughout the game is literally the definition of insanity itself. A non-stop chain where you keep on going to try to save people, but in return, not even knowing the own violence you do in return. Which leads to the tragic moment when you end up torturing badly the person you literally came to save. When you witness this, your character starts to really shake and realize what he's become. Because even though he didn't know at first he was torturing, he couldn't deny one fact. He actually enjoyed it. And then when he did know and kept going to save the person's life, he still even enjoyed that too. Something that when you return back to the cave where you're hiding, you even admit to the girlfriend and let her know that you're scared. You almost did something beyond horrible, and the sad part is you actually liked it. This made you start to snap, start to change. Far Cry 3 is a really well put together game. On my list of best Far Cry games, always have it put as the number one best in the entire series, but solely only because of story. For gameplay, I have another game on the list picked, but this one always wins first place of best Far Cry game just because I think the story is really well put together. Which is saying a lot because to me the first 4 Far Cry games are really well written to a T. We'll get to the other ones later. But this one, every aspect of it was great. I love the tattoo system for explaining away your upgrades due to the tribal traditions. Just like with Far Cry 2 being based all in the history of African blood diamonds and trading, this one is all in the history of tribalism. You get praise from the tribe, you can get items from them, you get tribal tattoos to upgrade yourself because they believed that would make a warrior stronger, getting symbols of animals on them and stuff. And everything in tribal culture, they work towards a gameplay design, which Far Cry has always done well. Far Cry has always stuck to the culture they've chosen and used that for the mechanics of the game. For leveling up, systems, and even power-ups you get later, it's all based in tribal tradition. Even the stuff you get, like extra loadout systems and extra ammo and stuff, is all based on the hunting, where you have to hunt animals for it, which is also a fun detail. Until finally, we get to the last note.
I'm a monster. I can feel the anger inside me. But I am still somewhere inside me more than that. Better than that.
The game finally comes to a head where everything comes together. The game ends where you finally come to a head where after you thought you saved the day and everything was done, the tribe that's been helping you and that you've been being trained by finally shows their hand, finally showing what they really have truly been wanting this whole time. They've been wanting a true savage warrior of wrath in order to give them a child so they could really grow and become the most deadliest tribe. An heir to the kingdom, so to speak, someone they can use. So it comes to the end where, since you are finally the fully wrathful beast that they wanted, you get a choice in the end. And the choice is interesting. The choice is based on your own human nature and how you feel. Basically, the character you play as now, he's broken, his mind's scrambled. And it's your choice to finally be his conscience in the end of the day. Does he save his friends and leave like this whole thing was supposed to be about? Or does he give in to all the wrath and carnage and what he's been turning to throughout the game and give the tribe what they want? Does he become the ultimate sacrifice due to his own bloodlust and needs, or does he finally leave? Both options have an interesting thing about them, but one thing that's always so fascinating is when you pick the, in my opinion, good ending to save your friends and leave, it still isn't shown as the good ending. Because after you do save them and you leave, your character breaks down. He doesn't know who he is anymore. He literally collapses on to where the girlfriend is and just breaks down, telling us, the audience, how he's well aware what's happened. He knows he's no longer who he used to be. He knows all that's left inside of him is a monster that just wants to come out, and he's now afraid of himself. He's scared. He knows he'll never be the same person again. All he sees now is a monster that wants to keep killing like he's done on the island, and this scares him. He knows he'll never be able to go to a normal life, see things normally, or do anything normal without that need or that urge scratching at the back of his head wanting to come out. As now, the person they once knew, that they once held dear, is now gone, and he will never come back. And that is the meaning behind Far Cry 3. Like I said before, I love Far Cry 3. I think out of all the games, story-wise, it's really closely tied to 2. It's usually either 2 or 3 that's first place for me. It changes sometimes depending on how I'm feeling, but the story is well written. There's a lot going on here. There's ideas, there's a whole thing you go through of like where you start from. Basically, there's a whole arc going on here. There's a whole arc, there's a whole idea, there's a whole theme. In the old Far Cry games, they always had something they wanted to tell you. There was always a message or a feeling or a lesson they wanted to go throughout the game's arc. And this game is no different. This one is about human nature itself and how violence could change a person if they were forced to do it. It was an idea that the creative had, and you know what? It's an interesting idea to always think back on. Anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed. I had fun putting this all together for you guys. Next in this retrospective will be Far Cry 4, but maybe next time it'll be a new Jetpack Retro instead. I'm going to need time to go through Far Cry 4 again and write down my notes. So I hope you guys enjoy. Please, as usual, write in the comments below any other games you would like a deep dive on, or who I should cover next in BoJack Horseman, or what video games and stuff you want me to do my next mini documentary on that you guys want to know the development and history of. I love putting that together. Or even what topic would you like Jetpack Retro to cover for commercials? Are there any weird, silly, or ridiculous commercials that you remember that you would like to see Jetpack Retro cover and look through? Please let me know. Like, subscribe, all that, guys. Once again, thank you so much for the support you've been showing me and the interest that you've been showing me in my last few videos. It really means a lot, guys. Especially with things moving so fast right now and me trying to get things done. It's really great, and yeah. Bye, guys.